Oh, the zoom. Wow.
That's
Beautiful.
a good rack. Like,
It's just beautiful.
Hang on. I need a tissue box. That rack was too good. All right, just shield your eyes. We're good.
Fast,
So
just like
you-
Brady's sex life.
You don't have a table side box?
What is wrong with you guys?
I do.
Yeah! Alright, we roll an initiative or what?
Probably should, I guess.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
I dropped my dice!
Roll for initiative.
Automatically, wow, I don't think I'm going to be host tonight. I'm going to fall.
18.
Damn.
19!
Get out.
Fucking suck it.
Sick.
Nice.
For the first time since we have brought in this initiative rule, the sexiest man on the show has won. It is I! Welcome to Basement Discourse. I'm Jace, the gamery guy. There's Brady over there who watches cartoons. And there's a guy down there who apparently rolls dice a lot. But apparently he can't fucking get above a 5.
Apparently. Yeah.
I did say apparently a lot, didn't I?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Apparently.
So, on today's menu, we are discussing esports based on a bit of a news report. So, this is floating around. It's confirmed news because Activision / Blizzard have announced it, so it is a legit, genuine thing. Overwatch League is sort of coming to an end. Now, I say sort of because the general premise of it is that the Overwatch League are basically putting everything in the hands of the team owners. And they're going to decide whether the league dies or the teams keep it alive. Which, that's a lot of weight to just be like, oh yeah, you guys decide. And we don't know what the league will become if that does happen. But basically, this year will probably be the last traditional year. So
It sounds like someone doesn't want to foot the bill. It's like,
Well, see-
you guys fucking work it out. Yeah.
that's part of it, but another part of it as well is that these teams have already footed the bill. Like, I think it was a $20 million buy-in to buy a team.
I was going to say, though,
What the
does this have
shit?
anything to do with the purchase of Blizzard?
So, I don't think so. I will start with that. So, the purchase with Microsoft, it's Microsoft, isn't it? Buying Activision Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
So, that purchase will not become material for several years yet. So, it's still early stages because nobody's transferred money. There's no transfer of ownership. So, it has nothing to do with Microsoft at this point.
Okay, cool.
So there are a few things that I'd like to go over, but before we touch on any of that, I'd sort of like to explain how the Overwatch League came to be and why it's a bit different than your other esports. So I showed you guys a little bit of OGN's Apex tournaments. Those were the go-to when Overwatch first came out. If you wanted to watch top tier Overwatch, you watched OGN Apex. Even my wife can attest to that, because when we were first dating, she would come over and then I'd be like, shut up, OGN's on. And then I'd just put OGN on TV. And like, it became a
no
thing.
matter how
like,
far
fucking
away
hell.
we get from fucking meatheads as geeks, we're still just like,
yeah, the game's
doing
on.
this thing now. Yeah, the game's on.
Fucking hell. Man, imagine going to work
game's
and
on.
being like, hey,
Beat
bro,
me.
you see
Get
that
my
game
sandwich.
last night? You see that game last night? You're like, oh, yeah,
Dude.
you threw some good foosball. And you're like, what are you talking about? Got me some Overwatch.
Yeah, that
But
that guy moved his
actu-
thumbs real good.
They don't do that because we play with real hardware.
Yes, keyboard and
I
mouse.
Anyway,
knew I'd trapped
so-
myself when it came out of my mouth.
Yeah, it's COD League that uses controllers. But going back to that, so OGN's Apex tournaments were fantastic, but Activision Blizzard realized that there was money to be made, so they were like, let's make an actual esport and we'll maintain the league. but they wanted to have like a traditional sports layout, and by that so in typical esports we have teams like Cloud9. They are a team, but that's the brand. So the team is known as Cloud9, and they might be Cloud9 in League of Legends, and they're Cloud9 in Rainbow Six and stuff like that. So they're all just known by the brand that hires the team and the managers and shit. Whereas
kind of like
Overwatch
fucking
League,
like Element Skates, getting a bunch of pro skaters in, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
similar deal.
I do. Yep.
But Overwatch League was like, nope, we don't want that. So teams like Cloud9 did invest in Overwatch League, and they had a team, but that team had to be known by a location and a team name. So they became London Spitfire.
Couldn't they just be like London and Cloud9?
They could have asked for it, but it may not have been approved. Like, there was a whole weird approval process and shit like that.
Yeah, right.
And anyway, so that happened, and tons of big money people invested in this shit. Like, fucking like NFL team owners, like the guy who owns the New England Patriots. He bought an Overwatch team. I'm pretty sure he owns Boston Uprising. So yeah, shit like that. And they had to spend $20 million to buy into those spots. And so that all came about, and it had its own like league and system and everything. And then the second year they added more locations. So I think it went from 12 to 20 teams.
I mean, fucking why not? If you're getting 20 mil per buy-in, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, if you've got the numbers to justify it, and at first they did, and everything was going pretty awesome. The first season was fucking impressive because everything that people expected went down the fucking gurgler, like right away. Like, teams that were winning really hard just before Overwatch League got bought up as entire teams, and then just got absolutely fucking dumpstered in the league.
Oh, damn.
Like, everyone thought Envious were going to be great. They became the Dallas Fuel, and they got fucking pooed on. We thought that, I forget what their actual brand was before, but they became Florida Mayhem, and they were the second worst team in the entire league for the first season.
So does the league itself play out differently to what they were doing prior to it? Like, does it?
Yeah, so
right. Okay.
So normally, like with OG and Apex, they would do a season in like 3 months, and it was all played live out of Korea, whereas this was all done out of an LA studio at first, and it was over like 8 months, and it was like they played 40 games in the first season, and then it moved to 28 later.
Yeah, right. In 8 months, they only played 40 games.
Yeah, but you've got to think that so this is no different than like actual football and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they have to strategize, plan based on
their fingers.
different teams. And, well, they had full
Stretch
gyms
their
and everything.
fingers, you fucking dickhead.
Just imagine them fucking
They
workout.
do actually. They're I know you're fucking around, but there is a lot that goes into
I know
that.
I'm giving them fucking hell. I just wanted to, like, break it up a little bit, just have a laugh. Because, like, there's a lot of...
dead serious.
No, it's too much information. It's too much.
So, yeah, so it went through that, and everything's going pretty well. Viewership dies off bits and pieces here and there, as it does. But as the Overwatch team... Like, because the Overwatch League started in 2018, but Overwatch as a game came out in 2016. And so by about 2019, I think, they were starting to work on Overwatch 2. And then as they started to get closer to Overwatch 2, they stopped adding new characters and maps to Overwatch. And so we got 2 years of no new content. And so the league was basically just balance changes. Like, oh, this gun does 5 damage more at this range and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which...
So the business
Isn't
of
that great?
Overwatch, when you look at it from a business model, it was becoming that maturing stage. So they were either
Yeah.
you know the climb had changed.
It was getting
and
very...
it started to peter off at that like, you know, the peak.
Yeah, but like it was mostly because it was getting stale.
Yeah.
Like they weren't doing anything to keep people in. And we had this really notorious event called GOATS, which was a meta. And GOATS has all these acronyms, but it was named after a team that came up with this idea. Basically, you would play 3 players, like, so it's 6 people per team, and you would play 3 of them as tanks. So, as we all know from various RP and that, tanks are designed to soak damage, but they can do a fair bit of damage in return, just not as much as a DPS. You would have 3 tanks and 3 healers. So with the right lineup of tanks and healers, your tanks just never fucking died. And the only way a fight would end is it would be a full team wipe. And so it would be this, like, it became a really involved meta game, but it was, for most people, pretty fucking boring. Because it's just watching 3
Going
tanks.
a long time. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. And it got boring, and it took them 3/4 of an Overwatch League season to even slightly fix the problem, but the entire league season was pretty much GOATs end to end.
Yeah, fucking
And
hell.
that became really tiring. Tons of people dipped off at that point.
So you've got a game
And
that's
so-
pretty much past its use by. There's already another game in the works, and most people likely at this point, if they're into Overwatch, already well and truly know about it. And now we're watching this 3-3 combination of just fucking.
That's the
slow
weirdest way you could
damage.
do that as well.
Yeah.
Like, why was that the choice? Like, because I know it's team, right? So why not just be like, look, you get 1 offensive psycho who gets no defense and 1 tank. Let that go. That would be more entertaining to watch them try and be good partnership.
They're about winning, and so the way that they can win is by having the 3 tanks not
There's
die.
got to be entertainment if it's a league.
So Justin, I think you're talking about like the players and managers and stuff. That they want to play the meta, so the method of which you are most likely to win, which is absolutely understandable, and that's why GOATS was prevalent. The solution that they came up with was exactly what you're talking about, Brady. They came up with role locking, so you could only have 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 2 DPS. That's it.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good solution. It just came way too late.
Yeah.
And then we had things like COVID hit, and so live events dipped off, and so when you can't go see live events, and like the hype when you see a crowd losing their shit, it makes the match so much better to watch.
Oh,
So
definitely.
that starts to dip off with COVID, and like they did not handle COVID well either. They just kept postponing it left, right, and center because they couldn't figure out how to do it like online, because everything relied on them being in the studio, because things like they would hot swap hardware and stuff like that to make sure that there was no like.
I just would have thought that like esports lends itself significantly better than most things in the entire world to just being like,
as long as
we're going
as long
online.
as it is governed,
Okay,
because
so-
the same thing as drugs in sport. You know what I mean? There's drugs in your fucking PC, basically, so to speak.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Cheating
yeah,
and whatnot. But
and
like
using
you would,
internet,
you would have to do
using your internet to your advantage and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
okay, I
you
got
hear
you.
about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's
so,
actually a good point.
Yeah, so that's the other thing that you sort of touched on then, Justin, is that not every network is the same. And because we have teams like Seoul Dynasty who are in Seoul, Korea, and then there's like Hangzhou Spark who are in China, and then you have
fucking Daryl and the boys in fucking Penrith.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. Like,
They're just there hot spotting
they're
off their
all over
fucking
the world, and
mobiles, like, oh, I think this will work, eh, bro?
Well, that's exactly the
Yeah.
problem, right? Though the ping can be fucked, and it's fucked for everyone because of how Overwatch works. Because it's not like Call of Duty where it can favor the person with the worst ping. It is just absolutely detrimental to everyone because it's a race to the central server. So whoever's closer to the server that you're on wins, basically.
Yeah.
So there was all these logistical issues and shit like that. And all of that made this perfect storm. And then the other thing is they moved from Twitch to YouTube for their streaming.
Ooh.
Now, Twitch is a streaming platform, and Twitch had some fucking cool features. Like, I paid like $20, I think it was, for the year, and it gave me like VIP access, and I could switch to the player cameras of who I wanted to watch. And being a tank player, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to watch the tanks. So I didn't have to rely on like the feed that they're giving me. I could watch whatever I wanted.
I feel like that's next
YouTube
level.
doesn't have anything
that is
like
the
that.
next level. I don't know why you'd ever change from that just to back to YouTube, where it's just like watching sport fucking 20, 30, 40 years ago even. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
To be
we're
fair,
in a high-tech world.
YouTube is, for some reason, YouTube has somewhat forgotten its role in the world. It's trying to be kind of
it's
jack
trying
of
to
all
do what
trades.
Xbox did when it brought out Xbox
but
One.
YouTube's
they were
role-
like, we're an entertainment unit. And you're like, well, you're not. You're a fucking console. Remember where you are. Remember your name, bitch. You know what I mean?
kind of,
And YouTube's like,
so like,
look at us go. We're fucking
YouTube's
everything.
role is you make a video, you curate it to your audience, hopefully, and then you edit it and you post it so that people will enjoy it. Hopefully, your audience. Whereas Twitch is a vastly different thing because first of all, you're trying to get people to tune in the moment, and you're trying to get, obviously, because you want to get paid, you want to get sponsors who value that audience as well in the fucking moment, which is very different to YouTube that decides as an afterthought. So coming back to the money side of things and the way the ads work, that's a wild switch to make for a company like that.
First and foremost,
and not because YouTube is a worse platform. YouTube is a different platform, giving its best go. Twitch is definitely better at live stuff, even though I gotta say, and this might become dated by the time it gets edited, they're making some fucking weird moves right now. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Twitch. But
Twitch,
YouTube also still hasn't perfected their live UI. It's a fucking trash heap.
This is the thing that I have big problem with YouTube. It doesn't have half the functionality. And
no,
I don't know about you, but I follow a few content creators that stream on YouTube. Do you know how I know when they're streaming? About 16 hours after they're fucking done, and there's a video that has a little live.
I'm like, oh, such and such is live. You click on it, and it's like fucking 20 hours old. You're like,
it's just the VOD because it auto saves it.
It's not a good UI, and I've noticed that from the two I did on our channel, and like just in general, it's not good. And you have to do everything as a third-party thing, whereas Twitch has a lot more functionality for use within it.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Is, substantially helpful.
So it ends up as this really weird chop and change because Twitch is also known for esports. It hosts nearly all the like Rainbow Six shit, fucking the international. Like that's one of the biggest fucking events. It hosts that, and you know, it's fucking weird that they would make that switch.
I feel like
they did
obviously
it for money,
they
obviously.
They were just, they were in a...
Well, I think
okay,
YouTube
so
will
you might not know this,
YouTube
Justin,
us.
because you don't pay all as much attention as Jason and I do, but YouTube is owned by Google, so they have a fuck ton of money at their dispense.
Twitch is owned by Amazon.
Yeah.
Still, Xbox, PlayStation.
Fair.
Xbox, PlayStation, yeah.
Fair.
Yeah,
but the relationship seems a little bit different. YouTube seem a bit more tightly wound with their parent company, whereas Twitch seem to have a little bit more distance often from Amazon.
I think.
But also, in fairness, I don't pay as close attention to Twitch. I try and watch stuff on Twitch. It's hard. I like any creators who somehow stumble on our fucking channel and hear this one random bit in the middle of our episode. The guys who do a Twitch stream and then pay an editor or do it themselves, cut it up and put it on YouTube, I love you. Because that is fucking fantastic. I love the whole live environment, but I can't always tune in. I have a real life. I have a family. I have a fucking work life. But watching the live hype back in the cut up highlights version of YouTube,
I think that's
is
where the
fucking
value
fantastic.
of YouTube is.
It's clever for you guys for monetization. It's clever for everyone in all parts, and get rid of one platform contracts, because that's creating some fucking disastrous problems.
Yeah, well, so most of the one platform thing is just streaming. So, for example, like as an affiliate on Twitch, I cannot stream to YouTube at the same time. If I'm streaming to Twitch, only to Twitch. That's part of the contract.
Yeah.
But fucking whatever.
Well,
yeah.
it's just created weird room for brands. Like, have you heard all this kick nonsense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not fucking touch it. I thought Kick was supposed to be like
Yeah.
TikTok. And
No. So what happened is they picked up gambling. So Kick is Twitch with a terrible UI, but it allows gambling.
Yay.
Cool.
Sports
So
bet
what
for
happens is
esports.
people are streaming themselves
Yeah, right.
gambling, getting paid a shitload. Kick is taking a shitload from the website that is...
This sounds like a thing all on its own.
Person,
Like,
the creator
we could bring this up a later
Yeah.
ad.
But
whack.
it's weird because the creator obviously wants to make money and not get banned streaming in certain countries. So what they're doing is they're doing this stream and they're like, all right, so I think I've got 2 kings. I think I'm going to win this round. I'm going to win a heap of money. Don't fucking gamble. Gambling's really bad.
This
Don't
fucking
gamble.
side fucking thing that we're on
Also-
right now is ridiculous.
Sub to my channel. I'm about to win this shit and win a heap of fucking money. Like, it's really weird. I don't get... It's like... And that's where Twitch and YouTube need to sort their shit out with the, like, struggling... Like, their war is creating more problems because these random independents are propping up with these crazy, like, their own rules, like allowing gambling to be live streamed
That's
is
weird.
fucking wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the topic.
Yeah, we'll
at
just
hand.
edit that out.
So, random side channel. Well, I think it was worthwhile.
Brady's bullshit
Like,
side channel.
Patreon only.
Oh, yeah, fucking exhilarating.
Yes. Sign up to our Patreon for more content
Oh,
like that.
fuck. We'll pay you.
Justin
It's
will
not
pay you.
interesting though.
No,
Whatever.
No,
look, it's
that was
interesting.
pretty
I think we
cool.
just
But
need
anyway.
to dive deeper into that. Like, than just introducing it in the middle of an esports
Yeah.
Alright, so
A dream
separate
within a
video
dream.
in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like going back to sort of the death of Overwatch League.
So what year was this? So this
As
was
it sort of-
they jumped to YouTube. Everything was looking like shit. Overwatch 2 was coming out. All of that.
YouTube was year 3,
Right, okay.
I think.
So 2021,
So that's
2 years ago now.
yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Yep.
It might have been year 2 even. But yeah, they had some amazing stuff early on Twitch, moved to YouTube. Kind of went down the gurgler a bit. And like there's other stuff that was really problematic as well that like was crowd interaction, which they never fixed. They still have problems with it. So if you watched the stream on Twitch, it gave you Overwatch League tokens for watching for X amount of time. That, with your Twitch account tied to your Overwatch account, gave you tokens to your Overwatch account, and you could buy Overwatch
Damn.
League skins. So your characters could have the same like skins as your favorite
That's
fucking players.
fucking cool.
And-
That is really awesome.
Yeah,
It's like
It was.
flybys.
but it doesn't
It's like
fucking
Cole's
work very well.
flybys, but for fucking video gamers. Like, it's insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sort of is though. Like, it's rewarding you for watching.
You get to take home a
guarantees
MasterChef
that
frying
viewership.
pan, except it's a fucking jersey.
It's one of those.
A digital jersey.
Okay, it's not quite like that. It's a weird thing in this commerce middle ground of morality where there's twofold with that, because on the one hand, you're giving people something they want and enjoy, right? So I love that people get to wear skins of their favorite players. That's fucking awesome. There is nothing wrong with that. The other thing is you are saturating them with that one brand and encouraging themselves to drown themselves in it and all the ads and sponsors that come along with it.
That's business, baby.
For rewards. Which is a little bit...
We've been doing this shit for years.
Yeah,
remember getting
it's
fucking
fantastic.
Tazos
First
in your
and
cereal,
foremost,
son? Like, you know, we've been getting this shit since we were born. It's just a different format. Like,
that's entirely true, but I think your comparison
it's
was
usually
slightly off
toys in
with
the
the
cereal,
flybys
not
thing.
Tazos.
Because
Tazos came in your packet of chips. Sorry.
yeah, what?
But
No,
anyway, the ad sponsors for teams have nothing to do with the skins. So the skins are just
Cool.
color themes, and it has like the logos on the skins and stuff like that. Nothing to do with sponsors, because sponsors change yearly. The skins did not. The only time the skins changed is if the team changed colors or name or whatever, which is a whole other thing that actually did happen. And so when teams ended up, like one team moved from Philadelphia to Seoul.
This sounds exactly like fucking NFL now at that point. Like, you know, like when the teams started jumping.
That's kind of
basketball.
the thing.
No teams are allowed to trade.
Yeah, basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, it's come to that point where, like, so players are getting traded. You can get traded the moment you're not in a contract, and if your team has open slots, you can buy them in at certain points in the year. And it got to a point where me as a viewer, and a pretty fanatical viewer, like I own like 6 jerseys and stuff like that, like actual jerseys that I can wear, and shit like that. Like, I'm a big fan, and I was losing track of what player goes on what team and what does this and what does that.
So they're losing their
Because
brand. At that
so
point.
much.
They're losing their fucking.
Yeah,
mind.
it's.
Yeah.
And so
You know
many
what?
teams were cheaping out on their lineups as well because they wanted to save money. So instead of buying the best players, they would be trying to look for new talent. And
There's this guy who's just like wearing
all
raggy
getting
fucking
really
clothes. He's like,
stale.
how much am I getting paid for this again? Where's my booze, boy?
so they couldn't
Damn.
quite get hobos because there is a league minimum wage.
Really?
So they may as well be. Yeah, so you've got to be paying at least
Rough.
$50,000 a year to a player. So
There goes my
they're not
fucking
just going to
idea.
get a hope. Like, they could get. Yeah, so instead they were getting 18-year-olds that have at least played one Overwatch.
Jesus.
So this all sounds like balls. And speaking of balls,
I guess we're going to talk about my idiot of the week, where I have a bit of a fucking tale for you kids. So
I'm ready.
how?
I'm somewhat involved, so I'm very ready to hear, because I've seen and been
He's
involved
involved
at
in
the other
Jesus'
end.
balls.
You've been at the other end. Ugh. Okay, so I don't even remember how this came up in our chat. Did you suggest that I show my balls on Patreon
I think that's
or
what it
something
was,
like that?
yeah.
I did, yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
I was like, you know what? We need more views. Tattoo guy, get out nudes.
I have thought about starting an OnlyFans, and then I thought
Justin has
that
one.
ain't no one gonna want to see that. But
You can't use the
those who
Basement
do-
Discourse email because it's registered to Justin's OnlyFans.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm not even kidding. There's
I'm
one
gonna
called
get
Succubus
pictures of my
Dice
fucking-
under
I
Basement
can't believe
Discourse.
you
Pictures of my
actually
feet with
did
dice
that.
in between each toe.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna put it up there. You never know. I'll
Do it.
get
I
some.
fucking
Do
I'll
it.
get them.
Do it.
That's cool. But yeah, so I don't even remember what year this happened. Actually, maybe I could find out. But it was many years ago. So this idiot of the week is not quite this week. It's a
Just
few
a
weeks
few.
ago. And so this all started with a friend of mine and Brady's. I will leave him unnamed. You might actually know
Nah, he'll
him,
be cool with it. He'll be cool with it.
But
Go for
his
it.
name is
I'll
Ronald.
bleep it if necessary.
His name is Ronald. That is all. And
I'll bleep it if we need to. You gotta do it. Cause you're gonna put the video with the photo in the thing. So
video and the photo. I have no
like
idea
we're gonna
what
put it in the blank box. So like they're gonna see the tattoo. So like.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, his name's Ron. Fuck it.
I'll just bleep it. It's fine. I'll message him and then I'll bleep it if necessary.
Okay,
Why does it fucking matter? His name's Ronald. No one
Cut
cares.
it out yourself.
Yeah, I get. So it was 2009, apparently, according to the date. That's why I kept getting distracted.
That sounds about right.
So about 2009, I was dating a tattoo artist at the time, and she's hooking Ron up with some tattoos, and he's getting initials of all of his close friends around his ankle. And he runs out of space just as I make the joke, "Where's my initials?" And he's like, fuck. And so I make the ingenious suggestion that he gets it on his sack. And he's like, I'll do it if you do it. And I'm like, you just, gave an ultimatum to the wrong fucking guy. And so a few beverages later, and he's up on a table getting his scrotum tattooed with my lovely initials. Were you actually there for this, Brady?
So I'm not only there. This was kind of a going away shindig because I was moving states.
This guys just stole the party.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going, fuck that Brady guy.
Well,
No,
Ron
so
stole the party.
There was no tattooing supposed to be done. These guys came because I said, like, come,
I need
like,
friends.
please come and, like, have drinks and let's have some fun. And then somebody made a comment, and I would never do this because I think it's a fuck thing to, like, subtly guilt people. Someone made the comment that my tattoos weren't finished. I said, yeah, but I'll be coming down all the time to see everybody. I'll get it finished. And then who Jace was dating was just like, well, I got all my shit in the car. So because I wouldn't do that because I'm not that big an asshole. So, but she did bring it all out and she started getting to work. And then this conversation unfolded from there. Yeah.
Her life.
So this conversation then unfolded from there. But yeah, she coloured in the rest of mine. And then it was like, she loved doing it. She enjoys her work. And the jokes came out that she had 2 or 3 initials to do on Ronald, so she did that on him. I feel like we're talking about Macca's. And
It's
then
so much better to call him
unfolded.
Ronald.
So yes,
though.
I was definitely there, but I was sort of walking in and out because by the time I'd had my leg tattooed, and there's a lot about how you're not really supposed to drink when this happens because you bleed
definitely
like a
are
motherfucker.
not supposed to.
Yeah. But this is a like 22-year-old version of me, which is not a version of me that was sober at all, ever, from morning to ever.
Dude, we've
Like-
seen your D&D games, mate. We know.
Still the case.
Yeah. So there was, I walked in and out of the room. Ron's feet were near his head, and I was like, that's normal. So like, it was a strange night, but I was definitely there. Yeah. Technically, you were there, but this is your story.
Yes. So, yeah. I was there. I got to laugh and enjoy it, but I didn't get my sack tattooed there. But I owed him. I can't remember why I didn't get it done then and there.
The tattoo artist was probably like
there
well
was
and
a
truly over it
reason.
by that point. Like,
Oh, dude,
No,
she
she
fucking
did
hated
quite a
tattooing
few.
me.
yeah.
It was like 3 in the morning. I think it was actually, I think you have more concerns than most people in a good way about environments being sterile and
Yeah.
nice, whereas
Expert
Ron had his
yourself.
feet around his ankle on our dining table.
Yeah, his feet around his ankles. That's usually where your feet
Oh,
are.
sorry, his
Works
ankles
so
around his head on the dining table,
Yeah.
and we'd all spilt booze over it earlier. Like, it wasn't, I think you were kind of like,
Yeah,
I'll
that's a
do
good
it,
call.
but not here. I
And
think that
so,
was the general vibe.
So I did, and me being the guy that I am, I was like, Ron's not going to accept this without proof. And anyone who knows me in real life knows that I have very little to no shame. So I have no problems filming this stuff, taking photos, whatever. I had some random guy on Facebook ask me about genital mods not that long ago, and I sent him a photo of my sack. Don't even know the guy. He's got a photo of my sack now. So I didn't mind. So I actually, I was wearing a GoPro on my head, like helmet cam, while I had to hold my sack out like a fucking IMAX, like it was like Brady's green screen.
The Batwing!
Yeah, basically. And so it's out like that, and she's just tattooing it while I'm filming with a helmet cam. It's rough footage, but it's there. And that was an experience. It wasn't the most painful thing I've done to myself, and it is definitely not the most painful thing that I have done to my genitals. We will get to that in a future Idiot of the Week, I'm sure. But it wasn't a fun experience. It is pretty sharp feeling. That sounds dumb because it's needles, but different tattoos in different spots with different needle configurations feel completely different.
100%.
I did not
so
expect it to feel the way that it did. It was pretty damn painful, and I now have Ron's initials permanently over my scrotum, but it has brought Ron and I closer than
Quite
ever
literally.
before, and I love that man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we actually touched balls after that.
I distinctly remember that, actually.
Yeah,
it was like a...
It was a moment. We were bonding, okay?
It was a moment.
Yeah.
It was... I permanently see it in front of my eyes like a screensaver on a shit screen moment.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's a
perfect.
moment.
He has like PTSD now. He wakes up in the middle of the night. Oh god, balls! But yeah,
No, it's cool.
so that was my Idiot of the Week.
No, I like it. Slicing back to, I guess, the league and the complete death of it. So we discussed how they switched to YouTube, and then there's player trading all over the place. You're having troubles keeping track of something you're thoroughly invested in. What do you think drove the nail in the coffin, aside from obviously financial problems with that?
I think it was, honestly, the fact that Blizzard and Activision controlled the league. So a lot of other tournaments and things like that aren't run by the developers. And so the developers just work on the game as though they always fucking do, and third parties manage the esports side of things. And they do that, and they do that well, because they're a third party that specifically deal with esports, like OGN did with Apex. And those sorts of things mean that people who specialize in specific things can do their specialty stuff. Now, Overwatch League was a great idea in theory, but I think Activision Blizzard were probably not the right people to do it, because they're not quick enough on updates, like as far as like meta changes, like the whole GOATs thing. That should have been way quicker. A much faster dev team or a smaller dev team would have been on that like white on rice, like it would have been donezo. So I think the real problem is having a developer / publisher being the ones controlling the esports. That's sort of a bit of a letdown in it, and I think that was the overall death of it all.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
cool. So where does that leave us? We've got... Why were we bringing this up in general? Just to discuss it as a past, or just that
The
this
death
is
of
the
Overwatch.
final sort of deal?
Yeah, so this is kind of where it ends, but I think in future, like, Overwatch goes back to its
Do you think it's
roots,
just too much though? Like, you think it's just
pre-Overwatch
had its,
League. So,
its time now, as a game, as an esport, as an everything? Do you think people have just moved on? They're just fucking over it? You know?
Not necessarily. Like, Esports.
I think it'll be quite a while till they do, especially because they're still updating it. Like, they released the second game,
but
and I think
to what
in
success,
every platform,
Overwatch 2
sorry,
was
not
not as well
platform,
received as the first, right?
Like,
it'll probably
No,
it's probably
because-
hit its peak.
it wasn't as well received because it was just a sequel to the first one. The first one can't be topped. It was like, I think it was like 45 million players in a year or something. I don't know the actual stats, but there were tons. It wasn't as successful, but it is still quite a popular game. So I can see it, like, the fact that, like, pretty much everything, like PUBG has an esports tournament. Shit like that. Like, it's not the most popular game nowadays by any measure, but it still exists. And I can see Overwatch going back to that, where, you know, we'll have teams like a Cloud9 and Envious, shit like that. And honestly, I think that might be for the best. We'll go back to a format like every other esports, and it will live or die on how much people want to watch it. And that's kind of the way I think it should be. At the moment, like, Overwatch League was a good idea, but I don't think it works well in the long run. And I think it should just head back to the way pretty much
And it
every
sounds
other
like they're
esports
leaving it
is
open
done.
to do so as well. So it's not dead in the water. It's just it's up to the league itself, or the players
Exactly.
and all the rest of it. Yeah.
And yeah, people are always drawn to these games anyway, so it won't die. It'll just need the right amount of new
Energy. Yeah.
hype. Like, they won't be able to keep getting by on here's one new weapon. Like, even Call of Duty know this, right? That's why they have different versions that are wildly different in theory in each release, because they need to do something to draw people.
Overwatch actually has a mechanic that allows for that. It's because it's hero based. So every hero has their own set of weapons and skills. There is no same weapon between heroes. And like, when you play the game enough, you can hear a player shoot from like their spawn point, and if you've played the game enough, you know exactly what hero fired that gun based on the speed, the sound, whether it was like an explosive, blah blah blah, all that sort of shit. So you can tell just by hearing. And so that's one thing Overwatch has that's really unique. Instead of needing to just bring in a gun, they bring in one character, and that completely shifts the meta. It's like League of Legends and Dota and things like that, where the character, because the character is the skill set, bringing that in, a new character can completely shake up the entire game.
I think
Same
it's
with a map.
fantastic. I think it makes it harder for game balance by like
Absolutely, and that has been a big issue with the whole goats thing and stuff like that. Balance is the problem. But if we leave the dev work to the devs to just fucking work on the game, and leave all the esports things to that, so then the devs aren't doing shit especially to tailor to esports, but to just competitive play in general, then we're going to end up with a better result, in my personal opinion.
So this episode is a stay in your fucking lane episode.
Kind of, but also fuck you, Activision Blizzard.
And also Jace's
Just
balls.
comes around to that big fuck you.
Yeah. So what are we going to use for the thumbnail here? Picture of my
With
scrotum?
Activision Blizzard tattooed on them.
I think we
And then it
combine
says
the two.
Overwatch
Activision and
League
Blizzard
is balls.
tattooed on my scrot.
Yeah,
And
we're
that
gonna
can be-
combine the two. So we'll put some version of Jace's video up, by the way, in the Idiot of the Week section in our blank square here. But I think, like, given permission, we'll probably put the virtually uncut version on Patreon. So, like, that, we've joked and gone back and forward, but, like, that, I think we're pretty cool with that.
Yeah. So that will go up on Patreon. I think we'd actually have to host it there, but logistics aside, I can put that video up. I might edit it down because there is like a lot of just random talking.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if... Actually, if you want to see this, and in a complete... Actually, I don't give a shit if it's sexual or not. But if you want to see it, Let me know if you want fucking raw, uncut, fucking go to woe, or if you want it a bit hacked up. Because I can deliver.
We'll label it. We'll upload both and just label it correctly, so you can see it all, or you can see the.
Yeah, right before it goes to OnlyFans. That's what we can put on OnlyFans. Flawless.
Damn, I was hoping to put up Justin's balls.
All right.
When he gets them
Thank
tattooed.
you all for watching.
See you.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.